Hello everyone. I am tasked to share about exploratory factor analysis. Let us first know what is factor analysis. Factor analysis is a theory-driven statistical data reduction technique used to explain covariance among observed random variables in terms of fewer unobserved random variables named factors. There are two different kinds of factor analysis. One is the exploratory factor analysis. EFA, or exploratory factor analysis, is a variable reduction technique which identifies the number of latent constructs and the underlying factor structure of a set of variables. EFA also hypothesizes an underlying construct, a variable not measured directly. It also estimates factors which influence responses on observed variables and allows you to describe and identify the number of latent constructs or factors. Exploratory factor analysis includes unique factors, error due to unreliability in measurement, and EFA, or exploratory factor analysis, traditionally has been used to explore the possible underlying factor structure of a set of measured variables without imposing any preconceived structure on the outcome. Now, the goals of factor analysis is to help an investigator determine the number of latent constructs underlying a set of items. Another is to provide a means of explaining variation among the variables using a few newly created variables. And lastly is to define the content or meaning of factors. The following are the objectives of exploratory factor analysis. First is to reduce the number of variables. Examine the structure or relationship between the variables. Detection and assessment of unidimensionality of a theoretical construct. Evaluate the construct validity of a scale, test, or instrument. Fifth is the development of parsimonious analysis and interpretation. It also addresses multicollinearity of two or more variables that are correlated. Also, it is used to develop theoretical constructs. And lastly, it is used to prove or disapprove proposed theories. So, this is the model of EFA. Y is equals to X beta plus E, where Y is a matrix of measured variables and X is a matrix of common factors and beta is a matrix of weights and E is a matrix of unique factors or error variations. So this is the conceptual overview of exploratory factor analysis, or EFA. So, despite EFA being a seemingly complex statistical approach, the approach taken in the analysis is in fact sequential and linear, involving many options. So, developing a protocol or decision path is very important. So, the following are the five step and exploratory factor analysis protocol. This will provide researcher with starting reference point in developing a clear decision path. Step 1. Is the data suitable for factor analysis? So with regards of how many participants are required for each variable, sample to variable ratio are denoted as N and P, where N refers to the number of participants and P refers to the number of variables. Variable ratios are the following. So example is 3 is to 1, 6 is to 1, 10 is to 1, 15 is to 1, or 20 is to 1. And to highlight this ambiguity, investigators such as Haggerty and McCallum have undertaken studies to test these guides and noted that our results show that there was not a minimum level of the N, or the number of participants, or N is to P ratio to achieve good factor recovery across conditions examined. Step 2. How will the factor be extracted? So the aim of rotation is to simplify the factor structure of a group of items. So in other words, high item loading on one factor and smaller item loading on the remaining factor solutions. So there are numerous ways to extract factors, like the principal component analysis, or PCA. We've also PATH, the principal axis factoring, image factoring, maximum likelihood, alpha factoring, and the canonical. Step 3. What criteria will assist in determining factor extraction? So there are many extraction rules and approaches that exist, including Kaiser's criteria, eigenvalue is greater than one rule, discrete test, the cumulative percent variance extracted, and the parallel analysis. It is suggested that multiple approaches can be used in factor extraction. Step 4. Selection of rotational method. Another consideration when deciding how many factors you will analyze your data is whether a variable might relate to more than one factor. Rotation maximizes high item loadings and minimizes low item loadings, therefore producing a more interpretable and simplified solutions. So there are two common rotation techniques: the orthogonal rotation and the oblique rotation. Step 5. Interpretation. Interpretation involves the researcher examining which variable are attributable to a factor and giving that factor a name or theme. For example, a factor may have included 5 variables which all relate to pain perception. Therefore, the researcher would create a label of pain perception for that factor. So that is all about EFA or exploratory factor analysis. Thank you everyone for listening.